Greetings, beloved Princeton United Methodist Church community. It's Pastor Jenny here, and I'm reading today from Psalm 13, verse 1. How long, O Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? This is the word of life. Thanks be to God. As we continue our Epiphany worship series called Rooted, we are rooting ourselves in some practices, invitations, the presence of Jesus in a world that is just not like it used to be, in a world that's full of uncertainty, and in our tendency to kind of grab hold of things, not always the best things, that to try to keep ourselves moored and grounded. And so we have looked at hospitality and our baptism and the new community of love in which our baptism brings us. And this week we're talking about lament. Now, a lot of us in this part of the world, in mainline churches in this part of the world, have a hard time with lament for a number of reasons. On the one hand, it is about looking at all the things that are wrong with life, with the world, with relationships, all the things. And for many of us in this part of the world, we tend to either do one of a couple of things. We complain and we gripe, we kind of name these things in a way, but we do it in a way that still either kind of feels distant or it's a lot of whining is what we tend to do, right? Or we might name these things, and we might even do this with a pastor or a therapist or a trusted friend maybe in even a more formal space where we will name some of these things, these problems, these troubles, these griefs, and then we might kind of minimize something. We might go, all of this stuff, but it's going to be okay. I'll be okay. I'm okay. Or my troubles aren't so bad, at least not compared to the troubles in other places. And neither of these spaces is lament. Lament is somewhere else. Lament is talking about naming the things that are troubling us. Well, it doesn't matter. It can be very deep troubles, but it can also be just kind of those less troubling things, or troubling things that are kind of, we have scale these things, right, that are a little less big on our scale. So it's naming these things. It's lifting them up to God, but it's letting them be there with all the feelings that come with that. Not just for the sake of complaining, not just for the sake of griping, but naming the distance between the reality that we are experiencing and the hope that we have for this world, the longing that we have for the kingdom of God. There's a distance between the kingdom and our reality. There's a distance between those things that God promises us, or sometimes the things we think God has promised us that maybe hasn't. But even so, there's a gap between the perceived or the real promises of God and where we are now. And naming that distance, naming the gap, naming all the trouble and the things that come with it, and saying something like, how long, O Lord? How long will it be between from here till we get to that place of promise, till we get to that place of God's kingdom when all will be well and all manner of things will be well? One of the things, too, that can happen when we move into this space of lament, or when we're complaining or doing these other things we do, is that we tend to get a little nervous, again, especially in this part of the world, in mainline Christianity. We tend to get nervous that maybe we're not treating God well. We're not, if we complain, if we lament, if we truly lament, if we really let all that anger or all that pain or all that struggle, all that fear, all that heartache or loneliness or whatever it is, if we let all that come out, our fear is it might eclipse what the trust that we do have in God, or the thankfulness that we do have, the gratitude we have, those joyful responses that we often talk about. And part of the thing with lament is that it doesn't erase it. It doesn't erase those things. Sometimes we're actually lamenting because we can't access any of that, any of the thankfulness or the belief, even the Senate, the verse that we had, right? It feels like God's hiding God's face from us at times. And that is all allowed. All those feelings are allowed in this space. It's a gift of a space for us to just name the gap between where we are in the world right now, or in my life or your life or this life, and where we hope and long for within God's realm. There is space for all of that. And this practice of lament is so helpful to us. It is healing. It is cathartic. It is unifying. It even brings us together with God. On the other side of conflict is community. If we move through it, if we choose to actually move through it. Lament is in some ways a conflict, right? It's a conflict between the world we long for and the world that is. So I invite you into lament. I invite you to name something of this distance between a current reality and our longed for reality, and try your best to let your real feelings be felt, to name the way you want to name it, without whining, but also without kind of minimizing or putting it aside. Just sit with it for just a little bit and see what the practice of lament does for you. This Psalm 13 is a beautiful lament, a powerful lament. Maybe these are part of the words that you that are helpful to name some of what you are saying as well. Well, friends, it is we are in the midst of this season. Lent is coming soon. Christmas has already happened, and we're in this space of inviting our starting the year with these new. Not new, they're not new at all. Reminding ourselves of these practices and restoring them within us. So you are invited to do just that. Remember that you are enough because God is enough. Remember that it is a joy. You were created for joy, and it is a joy for me to be on this journey with you, even in the midst of lament. There is certainly much to be lamented these days. So I will see you very soon. Many blessings to you.